Hello, my name is Kelly Faye, and today we will be discussing enhancing emotional control in high-risk situations. Currently, I am working on a master's degree in performance and sports psychology through National University, where I hope to work with elite athletes at some point or jump into the high-risk realm and focus on military. So high-risk jobs, what are they? Basically, they're going to be anything that puts your life or other lives in danger. So here I've listed some of the various jobs that fall under that category. Law enforcement, so we have police officers, highway patrol, detectives, firefighters, search and rescue with the Coast Guard, bomb squad. That's always a profession that you basically need to be batting 1,000 in order to be successful both at your job and life. Lineman or fisherman. Now, these are two jobs that one doesn't particularly consider or think about as a high risk, but linemen are putting their lives in danger every time they go to work, whether it's electrocution or falls. They have a very high rate of deaths. Same goes for fishermen. Paramedics and ER surgeons. So although these two professions are not typically putting their lives in danger, they're constantly having to save lives. And with that comes pressure, and with that comes high-risk jobs and high-risk situations. And last but not least, military, which I'll be focusing mainly on for my presentation. And these include snipers, and primarily, again, what I'll be focusing on today is special forces, such as Army Rangers, Green Berets, or Navy SEALs, just to name a few. So why is emotional control important in high-risk situations? As I stated before, mainly because typically it's either life and death. Decisions you make and the way you perform will determine whether you come out alive or tragedy occurs. Also, keeping others safe, so accountability, whether it's a partner, a police partner, or a teammate that's on maybe your SEAL team. You want to keep each other safe. It's not just about you. You want to keep every member of your group safe, and within that lies accountability. Innocent bystanders. So you want to keep the innocent safe. And patients, like I mentioned before, doctors and paramedics and stuff in professions like that. They're working to keep others safe. They're working to make sure that they perform in a way that allows their patients to keep living. And carrying out a mission. So getting the bad guy. Again, back to military. When a special forces unit sets out on a mission, their end result, their desired outcome may be to get a certain bad guy, and they want to be composed until that mission is complete. In a leadership role, so whether you are the chief of a fire unit or captain of special forces, you really want to set the standard, and you want to do it by leading by example. So here, meet my brother, Ryan. Ryan kind of stood out to me when talking about emotions, because he was sort of an emotional head case growing up. In sports, he would just lose his cool all the time, whether it was on the field or on the court, and he would never even try to maintain it. He wasn't embarrassed. He would just lose his temper, and I was embarrassed. My mom was embarrassed, but it was just how he responded. So when Ryan decided to join the military, specifically become a Green Beret, I was very supportive. However, I was concerned because I knew how he was emotionally, and I know what high demands something like becoming a Green Beret requires. And, it's one of the most emotionally tough jobs you can have. So, again, I stood by him supportively, but I worried a little. During his Q course, and this is when I was kind of reassured that he would be fine. During his Q course, which basically just prepares him, which is a course that he must pass in order to get his Green Beret. During his navigation section, he got lost. And instead of flipping out like I would normally expect him to do, he remained calm. He said he just stopped. He gathered himself. He got composed, and he made the navigation. So after that, I just knew he was going to be fine. I talked to him about missions and sort of what added to his composure during these missions where his life was ultimately in danger. And he said that a lot of times everything slowed down. It was in slow motion, and he would tap into his training. So he really reiterated the training part. That was huge in him being able to respond in an emotionally appropriate way that allowed him to get through each mission. And also he mentioned laughing. I think he was in Afghanistan for a week, and they were getting rocketed, and he and about 3 of his teammates all just started laughing hysterically. And of course I said, why? And he said his coping mechanism, they were all extremely nervous, and that was what happened. So I thought that was interesting. So how can emotions be controlled? As Ryan had mentioned earlier, training is huge, and not just training to be physically fit or even emotionally stable, but to just be able to provide real life simulations to these soldiers, so when they're placed in those situations, they've been there before. They're able to react the way they had prior because they've felt those emotions. They've had those peak emotions, that fear, that anxiety, that nervousness, and they were able to overcome it. Preparation. So preparing as well as possible, and the military does a really good job of this, especially once you're in some sort of special forces unit. They really try to emulate any situation, any possibility that may happen, so that each soldier is able to respond accordingly. Just making sure that they condition the mind, and you're able to step outside of yourself, outside of those emotions, and perform. So I threw in here my basketball thesis. When I got my master's in kinesiology, I did a thesis on basketball shooting percentage from practice to a game situation. And I found that when the practice situation presented real life, game-like situations, such as a defender or perhaps consequences for the team that would lose, that it transferred much better. It was much more efficient into games. So it just goes to show that how important it is to train in a game-like environment, or in a military setting, in a real-life environment, so that when you come face to face with the actual situation, you're better equipped to perform. Of course, relaxation techniques are a very good intervention technique to use in high-risk situations. Able to calm the heart down, just relax, steady the mind, and move forward with the task at hand. And imagery. I think imagery is a part of training. I think going over each thing that you can do in your mind when various situations present themselves can really be beneficial when faced with life or death situations. So when should interventions be implemented? And I say from the beginning, especially with the high-risk situations. Training, you want to train as effectively as possible from the get-go, and that means physically and emotionally. Relaxation techniques is a big one because that can be used with the individual at any time. So if, for example, a sniper is getting a little, their emotions are getting a little out of hand, they can take, whether it be 30 seconds or 2 minutes, whatever the situation allows, and take that moment to get back to themselves, back to the task at hand and the duty that they're there to perform. Again, same thing with imagery. That can be used with individuals at any point in time, which is why it should be implemented very early on. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at KLLY_Faye@yahoo.com. Thank you.